forgot I was gonna do a little trade recap too, so I'll just upload this in a separate video from the psychology video I just did. But so let me break down the trade. So for context, this is actually the trade I missed, but I really liked it. I locked out for 30 minutes after I took this short. Let me explain why. So shit, let me remember why. So yes, we had this. I don't even know what time frame gap this is. Let me see. Yeah, it was a 5 minute gap. So we were crawling lower overnight after we had the huge sell off yesterday. Huge sell off. I wish I had an account for that because I actually called it live on my Twitter. I'm gonna link that in the bio. Called it live. I had all of this low resting that's been building up since the last 5 days after this sell off. We tapped into this daily gap here. Oh, wow, that's gonna look like a mess. Hopefully you just get the gist. Yikes. Can I hide everything? I forget how you do that. Here we go. So we tapped in this daily gap here. I don't have it drawn out, but you can obviously see it here. And so I had a lower bias at least to, this was my draw on liquidity. So go back to the 15 minutes. So that's what that whole gist was, hitting up the sell side. This was my sell side right here. So I had these stacked lows, all this low risk in liquidity, and a bearish bias that respected a fair value gap. It was fucking prime. But today I expected an inside day. I expected seek and destroy. So I really didn't have high expectations. I was kind of looking. I had already accepted I was probably going to have a no trade day. So or at least no trade morning. I don't know about tonight. Usually if nothing prints AM, like some Asia session will print something. But God, look at that shot. Anywho, let's turn all this junk back on. So, where are we? This is 6:30. We had CPI. Pretty nice CPI. I saw some people make some bank off of this. You set a position order above and below, and a TP 60 or so points above. I forgot. I've never actually done it, but it's usually an eval passing method. But I saw someone, his name's Ryan. He did it on 5 funded accounts, made like $2,000 per account. I wouldn't chance it. They get crazy fills, and you can blow your whole account. So was not gonna chance it on mine, on my fresh funded. For all kinds of reasons. But fucking juicy John there. Anyways, we were inside. What even gap is this? 15 minutes or so. Ooh. Where do we go? Ooh. Probably like a 30-minute gap or something like that. Maybe an hourly gap. So we were in this hourly gap here from CPI and we were in this hourly gap, but when we opened, we swept some minor buy side. And remember, I already had a seek and destroy mindset. So once we swept this high, let me go over to my top step so we can get into this 30-second chart. This is where I do all my entries. I usually have it on my second monitor. And it's like, once I'm ready to start looking to pull the trigger, I pull myself over to my second monitor here. So we had this nice little inversion gap here after that little opening. We took out this low, came above this, these highs here, some of these highs, and then we started pulling lower. I already kind of like this inversion gap here. Whoa, I wasn't even hovering over that. Hello? Hold on. So where are we? So I already like this kind of I'll just use this one. I already like this kind of inversion gap here that we were getting. Just keep zooming it in here. So I already like this inversion gap we were getting. So I already have my eye looking at shorts. We came down here. We swept this low. Okay. We slept this low, but we left just edged these lows here. And so did ES. I was keeping an eye on ES. So we're getting an SMT on ES as well, which is on this little second screen here. So let me find, where were we? Yeah, we're in 1 minute here. So I don't really know how well you're gonna be able to see it, but yeah, see, we left the low behind here too with some good good distance, and we were looking a lot more bearish here at the opening on ES. So I kind of had a little bearish bias. We had some equal lows here, some relative equal lows. That could be tapped there. Just mark it relative lows. That's not. Yeah, whatever. I'll just do sell side. You get the gist. So, same thing. We also, by the way, left these relative equal highs above. Another thing I was keeping an eye on from the opening. So we can do buy side. So basically, we back to my top step. We had this nice little inversion gap here. Let me whatever. You get the gist. Nice little inversion gap right here. So we came in, we swept this low, leaving these lows behind. Same on ES. Came up, we respected the inversion, we closed below, pulled back one last time. I like the entry. I entered at what, 51? Right about 51, I was pretty positive we were going to take out these lows. And it doesn't look like much, but NQ moves a lot these days. You don't need a whole lot. And this entry was pretty safe above this gap. So I decided to take, with, you know, what kind of bias I had for the overall day, a little seek and destroy. I decided to go ahead and take just to these lows here. A little fucking 2R. Little where are we at? Actually, it was like a 1-to-1. It was actually negative RR. I think I might have put my stop at the top of this top of this candle though. Not quite correct, but I mean I had good the flow of it. You gotta understand the flow of things and how we're respecting things. Like when you're watching this live, you could almost feel, you know, buying and selling pressure is fake, but you could basically feel the pressure of the market wanting to go there. You know, so this was a decently high probability trade for me, and sure enough, yeah, we pretty much dumped to it, and we ended up going straight for my gap tap. So as you can see here, boop, we hit the gap tap, and this I already locked out because, you know, fresh day on the funded, you don't want to get ahead of yourself. So I had already locked out for 30 minutes after 285, but man, I missed that beautiful inversion. I called it on my live on my Twitter. Let me pull it up here. I did screenshot it late though because I was in the middle of typing my tweet whenever this happened, but I said something like pick number 2. This was the trade that I missed out on right here. This inversion to these highs. Fucking clean. Again, seek and destroy. We just took out a low. We tapped the gap and inversed heavy off of it. That's displacement. You know, you enter on the displacement here. A good entry would have been like here, probably below, you know, the wicks here, or, you know, a little bit below, and aiming for those highs. Fucking beautiful. That shit would have been a beautiful trade. 100 points. So missed out on that one a little bit. You can see I took this one last little continuation here. I'll get into that in a sec too. That was the second trade I took. So I missed that one. That was a really good trade too. This was solid. You know, I just wasn't, you know, take the base hits. Base hits are higher probability than these. Like, it might not have gone down and touched the gap. I was not expecting it to. You know, I was expecting it to take out maybe these lows, these little stacked lows here along here, and fucking, you know, do whatever. Like, I wasn't sure at that point. once we tapped the gap and started displacing up like this strong displacement came us in the 30-second chart. I was pretty confident we were going to go up. It was moving with speed. So after that, I have some higher draws above here. So let me get into my second trade. So second trade, I mean, this is screen time. I've seen this a million times, but we came in, we swept this low here one last time. Swept that low one last time. Boop, boop. I was like, and I don't even know where that gap is, but it's there, whatever time frame. And yeah, I had a break even here. I would have gone. I would have what's the word? I would have got break even there. But then when I saw this, I was just watching. I wasn't planning on taking this trade actually. I was just kind of tape reading. And but once we tapped into this gap and had this nice respect here, I was pretty confident that we were at least going to go take TP1 here. This was TP2 at buy side. So I was pretty damn confident we were going to take TP1. And let me explain why I only took TP1. You can see the trade here. We respected the gap. Let me see. Respected the gap. Oh, yeah. So we respected the gap. I was still not planning on taking the trade. We had this big down candle. That's a fake out, okay? That's a, we didn't quite liquidity sweep, but people that are placing their stops, not at the lows, we were respecting these lows. When we respected this low, came to this gap here, and then like where am I? 36. I was watching this little 30-second gap right here. Let me make it wide so you can see it. I was watching this little 30-second gap. This was my condition. This was my final condition, and I decided to put my finger near the trigger. So once we took here, ES took the final draw, by the way, on this leg. So I was glad that we just aimed for the base hit. Again, base hit, baby. So, blah, blah, blah. Boop. We respected this gap after this, pretty large pullback. Close above it, I was ready to take just this quick little pop here. I was confident at this point we weren't going to pull back anymore. That's basically what my quote-unquote bet was on, that we weren't going to pull back anymore. So 30, 36. And I have my stop at the low of this candle. Another little 1-to-1 here. 30. Fuck, not even 30 points. It was like 25 points. It was literally like 25 points. A little like 1-to-1, almost negative RR. And right when we displaced, once we took this high, I went break even. And sure enough, boop, pop, and came down pretty hard. Because ES took, let me show you. ES, where are we? Right here. ES took the draw. Right? I think. Yeah, so basically I was aiming for, see like the high of this candle? It took it already here. And then took the draw. So, kind of some correlation, kind of some uncorrelation. But that's basically the gist. And 2 solid trades, locked out for the day. Up 50 on the fresh funded, We out here. We'll run it back tomorrow. I work tomorrow and Friday, so probably next week. But unless I see something juicy in Asia or something like that. But anyways, thanks. That was probably a really fucking shitty breakdown, but I hope you get the gist. And yeah, fucking follow me on Twitter because my shit gets no engagement. But I've been running it. I've been running this for a fucking minute. So, all right. Thanks anyways. Peace.